And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We need to stop meeting like this. Just kidding. We're going to do it every Tuesday because what day is it? It's Teaching Tuesday. Woo! Yay! Welcome back. And again, welcome to the first time joiners who are here. My name again is Sadie Troy. I am our lead specialist for student learning at Mount Vernon in our education department. And I am so glad to be back with you guys on, what are we on? On Facebook, we're on YouTube. Today's gonna be a really fun session, hopefully. I hope you really enjoy it. Because today is all about primary sources. Woo! As an educator and staff at Mount Vernon, that is one of our favorite things in the world. So we're gonna have a really great day, hopefully. And it's gonna be a lot more interactive than our last week. Last week was kind of an introduction. It was a little get to know you, get to know us. But today we're hopefully going to be talking a lot with you guys. So if you can, comment in the comment section on Facebook, comment on YouTube, and we're going to be talking back and forth about this. I want to know who's here, first of all, where you're joining us from, how many of you are teachers out there? Sorry, I don't know why my voice just got so high. Yeah, so how many teachers are out there? Do we have any students joining us on either YouTube or Facebook? So let us know, give us a shout out, because we are going to be interactive, because what we are doing today is a analysis of an object from one of our collections. And so we're going to be asking questions, we're going to be talking about it back and forth. So definitely use those comments. I got multiple staff people helping me read the comments. We're going to be answering questions. Ooh, Lori Maddox, I see you from Illinois. Derek is a 7th grade teacher with social studies. Welcome. Okay, I'm so excited. I don't know where to start. So the first thing we're going to talk about for our joiners and our listeners is, what is a primary source? Like, why do we love them so much? What is a primary source? I'm going to ask that, someone, we look to that from our chats. Ooh, I'm seeing that we got teachers from Orlando, Florida, 8th grade teacher from Lexington, Kentucky, Massachusetts, and we got a student, Warren Putnam, welcome. This is so exciting. So our primary sources are very valuable to us at Mount Vernon, and we have a lot. So once we kind of talk about what they are, we're going to talk about the different kinds, because we have lots and lots of different primary sources and to offer from Mount Vernon. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat because we got students from South Carolina that are watching. We got Ohio, we got Georgia. This is great. And Adam Carmen just commented that primary sources are a source from the time period. And I don't know, can I get this right? See how he says my favorites? We feel the same. There are favorites too. Candace Travis just said that a primary source is a first-hand account, like a letter from George Washington. There it is. And that's exactly right. These primary sources, they are the raw materials from history. They are those original items from that time period that is being studied. As Candace mentioned, it can be a letter, like a letter from George Washington, our favorite, but what are other types of things that primary sources can be? Oh, we got one right here. Chadwick, that's great. They're diaries, they're journals, all types of documents, right? That's a great category. Documents, letters, journals, diaries, pictures, images. That is absolutely a primary source. That's actually the type of primary source we're going to be analyzing today. Austin Arthur said artifacts. Yeah, our archaeologists, 100%, that stuff they dig up in the ground, that stuff they find in the wall, of course. those are primary sources. He also threw in that's furniture. So we're looking at objects too. So we're looking at documents, objects, images, artifacts, all types of items from that were created at that exact time period. Newspapers, the list can go on and on. Diaries, journals. So that's awesome. And the reason we love primary sources, I mean, reasons, because it goes on and on, but they are great ways to make those personal connections to history. They are ways to really help students, help the people studying them to understand the powerful sense of history, to, you know, kind of figure out the complexities of the history of the people that lived before us, and connect in ways more personal than, you know, we're used to. They help us build these connections and make learning meaningful. They also are very skill-based. They really help us kind of create a higher order level of thinking. They help us build analyzing skills and critical thinking skills as we dive in and start the research. So that's really exciting. Okay, so a lot of you knew what primary sources were. You knew what different types were. Anyone want to throw out some examples of primary sources that you've either used as a teacher with your students that you really like, or that as a student you used in one of your research projects or class projects? Any different type of thing. Amanda Isaac, I'm calling you out because you also mentioned that primary sources are clothing, fabric too. Yes, well done. That's awesome. So what types have you studied with? Any favorites? We'll go with kind of just exact primary sources favorites. Someone already mentioned letters from George Washington. Those are good. I mean, I can tell you some of my favorite primary sources. We have one in our collection. I wish I would have thought to have it ready to go to show you, but it's the original Acts of Congress that George Washington owned in his personal collection. So not only is that primary source, you know, a primary source of our government and the rules and the divisions of power that are actually listed, but George Washington makes little notes in the margin during his presidency that kind of call out like, well, this is my job, I'm president, this is my kind of article that I need to focus on. And so it's a really great one. So that's one that I kind of always turn back to and look for. Warren says his favorites are diaries and clothing. Adam likes account books written by the subject. David Beiser has The Last Will and Testament of John Harris, the founder of Harrisburg, Virginia. Now that's a fancy primary source. Great, manuscripts people are using. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys all have favorites. We're all obsessed with primary sources, and I'm glad that that's showing through with everyone in the audience. So let's get down to business and let's start analyzing our object. And as we mentioned last week, hopefully we kind of gave you a little taste, we are going to be pulling a painting from our Mount Vernon collection. So this is one that we actually own, that our curators take care of and have researched for many years. And I am going to share my screen. Okay, ready? I'm going to share my screen and we are going to analyze it together. Okay. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to view it larger. Okay, can everyone see it? Great. Okay, so we're going to actually look at this object in two different ways. So the first way, what I'm going to do, because we're being interactive and we're getting to know each other really well, we are going to do a 20-second look. So I'm going to give you all 20 seconds to look at this image. And I just want you to look top to bottom, study kind of all the different layers. We're gonna have 20 seconds, and then I'm gonna take the image away and I'm gonna ask you what you remember from it. Okay, so this is kind of, we call this a look-see. A lot of teachers use this in their class as a great way to just, it's kind of a quick start to the day. And then we're gonna talk about it and see what people remember. But go ahead, we got about 15 more seconds. I'm terrible at counting, but look through top to bottom, pick out things that are sticking out, see how much you remember. We have about 10 seconds left. Keep looking. 5 seconds. Whoops, oh, well, learn about our preservation efforts. Okay, all right, stop. I took the image away. Okay, now what I want you all to do in the comment, now we're gonna see, what do you remember? Okay, what are the things that stood out? You had 20 seconds to look at it. What did you learn? What stood out in that picture? Warren loved it because he thought it's a beautiful picture, and we happen to agree, Warren. Let's see, it had 5 people, 2 dogs, a house, trees, and dark clouds. Warren saw a lot. That's a lot. Great. Other stuff. What were some of the things that stood out? The manor. Will D said he saw Martha and children. Ooh, Nancy saw different colored clouds. Okay. Jeanette Patrick, people in the background. All right, so you're seeing all different types of things. This is good. This is just a great entrance activity just to engage the students, start, making observations, looking at it. Someone saw the sky. Kimberly saw there were a side of the house. Candace saw people dressed like Empire style. Okay, good. So you guys are noticing a lot. The weather vane was there. Kelly Shippey saw that. The weather vane. Awesome. Ooh, Karen Campbell said the storm is coming. That's a really great observation, and that's starting to kind of make, your own type of reflections and observations from it. So that's great. So that's our activity. So we've kind of looked at it right at the beginning. We made some observations. We connected with it. But now I want to do it again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys through a 3-step analysis process. And in those 3 steps, I'm going to be asking different levels of questions. These are process that our historians and that work with our special collections that are researching those primary source documents. It's a step that our curators who are looking at those objects and clothing and textiles and swords are using. It's something that our archaeologists who are digging up artifacts, it's the process that they're using when determining what these sources are. And the first thing that we're going to do is the first level, we're just going to observe and engage and in this case, it's the image. We're just going to look. I'm going to ask straightforward questions to try and see what we're picking out. The second sort of questions, the second level, that's when we're going to start reflecting. That's when we're going to try and make sense of these images. We're going to use a little bit of that inquiry process to ask little deeper, further questions. And then finally, flip my page here, the last set of questions, that's going to take us the deepest. That's when we are going to use our prior knowledge that all of you have, that individuals have from studying the time period, from understanding it. We're going to take that information and we're going to apply our critical thinking skills, and we're going to start making educated guesses and answers about the image to really understand it and see what information we can pull from it. Does that sound good? I'm just picturing that you all are giving me a thumbs up. So I'm going to run with that every single person here just gave me a thumbs up, that this sounds like a great activity. So I'm going to put the image back and I'm just going to start answering the questions. Again, I'm going to do that first level of observation questions. Keep using the comment section. Keep using it. you know, my colleagues are going to put it on the screen. I'm going to be calling it out. We're going to be looking at different things. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. I'm getting hopefully very technologically savvy with this. Okay, here we go. All right. So we're back here. We got our image. Warren loves this image because he says it's pretty. So I hope everyone's feeling that same way as Warren. All right, now take a look. You don't have to answer every question in the comments, but definitely kind of answer them in your mind, answer them out loud if you're working through with people, but definitely answer them internally as we start looking at this. So first question, what is the title for this image? Again, we're just in the observation phase, so we're doing kind of straightforward questions. What does this image show? Is it a portrait? Is it a landscape? Is it a still life? Is it a drawing of architectural buildings of everyday life? What did you notice first about this image? What stood out the most? Is nature depicted in this image? If so, what kinds of nature? What kinds of elements of nature are there? Are there any buildings depicted in this image? If so, what kinds of buildings? Ooh, I'm glad to see that some of the answers are coming on the screen. And again, we're just looking straight for observations. Are there people included in this image? If so, how many people are included? What are the people doing? Are all the people dressed the same? Are there any animals included in this image? Yeah, if so, what kind of animals? Okay, I'm gonna pause that for a minute. Great first round. I saw they pulled up a lot of great comments. You know, people were walking their dog. Adam says it looks like there were 7 people. Candace noticed that the trees are sculpted. So there was nature included. Someone said it's a peaceful landscape. There were outbuildings. So this is all great information that you're noticing. Some people said there were 5 people included. Some people saw that there were 7. So a lot of these activities, these analysis, it's great to do with other people because you're noticing different things. You know, you're noticing that there are 2 dogs in it, but then someone also saw, but I saw a horse. So you're pulling out different information. You're using the collective eyes of everyone to analyze. So great job. I'm gonna put it back on the screen because now we're going to do our second round of questions. So we're really going to push those inquiry skills and questions and really reflect on more kind of bigger ideas about what this painting is. So well done. Okay, again, sharing my screen because we're getting so good at this, everyone. Okay. Everyone can still see it? Great. I'm getting thumbs up in my mind from all of you. So we're totally killing the game here. All right. So again, take a look at the subject or take a look at the image. What do you think is the subject of this painting? So again, we're going a little deeper than surface level here. Why do you think this image was painted? So I'm just making a side note that Susie asked if these questions will be listed anywhere, and I am more than happy to provide a list of questions in the comment section at the end of this. My colleagues and I will copy those there. Okay, so we've asked, what do you think is the subject? And as you can see, the question on the screen now is, why do you think this image was painted? Who do you think was the audience for this painting? Okay, lots of different ideas coming through. Now, as you look at this painting, what do you notice about the painting that you didn't expect? You guys are coming up with a lot of great ideas, a lot of great reflections on this painting. What did you notice that you didn't expect to see in this image? Okay. And my final question is, what do you see in this image that you can't explain? What do you see in this image that you can't explain? Okay, I'm still here. If you thought you were gonna get rid of me, you're not. I'm totally still here. Whew. Are you guys still with me? Okay. Whew, sorry. That was a close one. Apologies, but I am back. And you did a great job on those reflection questions. You found deeper things. You were picking out, and a lot of you were looking, understood like different audiences. Like maybe this image was for the American people to show Mount Vernon, because who's the most famous American of all time, first of all, but also in the late 1700s, that would have been Washington. When some of you think like this is for Washington to showcase, the home and the life that he built. So that's an incredible analysis. The last Okay, I am so sorry. This is live stream at its best. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm looking to plug in my computer. Hopefully, I don't know what's happening. Actually, my dad's plugging in my computer. That's what it's like really working from home. But we're back on the show. Before I lose people again, let's go back. We're going to do our final critical thinking question level for this image. All right, we're really going to hit, and this is where we're going to use our historical evidence and our background information that we already know, put it together to make educated guesses, okay? Because primary sources like these objects, they're great to provide information, but they don't finish the story, right? It's just pieces of the larger story. So what we do when we analyze is we find out where that puzzle piece fits in that larger story, where it happens. Lori, thank you for being understanding and that technology is fickle. I very much appreciate that. So let's put on our final, let's look at our image one last time. Okay. We'll view it larger, bring it in, okay? All right, and now what I want you to do as you look at this image is I want you to think about, with all the information in the 18th century that you know, with this image, what can we learn about George Washington? From this image, what can we learn about the enslaved population at Mount Vernon? Okay, think of those larger items that you know from your research, from your studies of this time period. What can we learn from this image about Martha Washington? Right. What can we learn from this image about Mount Vernon? So not just the people in it, but what can we learn about the place as well? Okay, I'm gonna leave that up. You see those questions, those larger questions on the screen. Okay. Some of you are pulling out great things. What are these larger ideas? How can this image teach us more about life in the 18th century? All right, and the final question, because we're historians and curators and we're archaeologists and we're researchers, we're gonna ask a question, our last thing is gonna be, what questions do we still have? Because history is never over. Research is never complete. With this image here, what questions did it bring up for you about George Washington, about Mount Vernon, about the 18th century? Okay. What questions does it still leave us lingering, still that want us to search and find more? All right. Okay, great job. I'm looking through all these comments and I'm seeing a lot of stuff. Candace, this image taught her that they were a close family. Warren, this image taught him that they had slave quarters. Jezza T learned that Washington was a wealthy individual who was interested in agriculture and politics, right? You're seeing that Mount Vernon, this house, is not just a home to Washington, but that His wife, his family lived there. It was the home to hundreds of enslaved individuals as well. And that it wasn't just a house. This kind of image of Mount Vernon teaches us that it's a larger idea. It's a larger space. It was a farm, divided into 5 different farms. This is information that we're already pulling from what we know, but it's confirmed by this image that this artist created in the time. Bethany, this is great. You can learn about daily life of George Washington and Martha Washington along with their slaves. That's right. You see the socializing and the living aspect of Martha and George. And then the image also shows work going on by the enslaved people to provide for that life that Martha and George were living and contributing to our country. So great job. Give yourself a round of applause. Woo! I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something, took time to really see the different levels of questions that we brought forward and how it can really help us pull different information, that these images, we need to look not just right over and observe everything, but we're going to observe, we're going to reflect, and then we're going to start questioning and really diving deeper into these sources. And this process, some of you may already have used it when studying documents or when studying artifacts or different, furniture pieces, textile pieces, studying these primary sources. A lot of the process is the same. You're still bringing forth those questions, that inquiry, that wanting to dive deeper, that process, no matter what you're looking at from that time period. Before we go, what's the point in doing this activity with you? Showing you great resources that Mount Vernon has, if you can't use them at home, if you can't use them in your research, if you can't use them with your students, if you can't use them in the classroom, in homeschool activities, what's the point? So I do just want to take a couple minutes. If you stay with me, I know I've kind of bounced a little long, but I want to show you where these resources are. As we mentioned last week, we went through and okay, I'm going to share my screen again. We went through and we talked about I'm just going to share my entire screen. Ooh, okay. We talked about our online learning page, right? For those of you that were here last week, you might remember we talked about this is it's www.mountvernon.org/online learning. And this is our hub page where we have all of our great resources, our interactives, our online primary sources, our online secondary sources, educational activities, all linked together. So what we just did is we studied one of our museum collection pieces. That image of the West Front, if you were to click on this link, it takes you right here to our Explore Our Museum Collections. And this is a great site run by our curatorial and collection staff. And it includes digital images of most of the items in our collections. And let me tell you, look at this, 776 objects, 551 objects. We got a lot of objects. We got a lot of stuff in our collections, and this is a great way to explore it. So our image that we looked at today, this one, it's right on that page. It's under the paintings. Oops, I'll just keep showing you. It's under the paintings and sculptures. You can look for it there, okay? But one last thing we wanted to talk about, I'll come back. Okay, I'll come back to you right now. As we do this, is just to highlight other activities that this can pair with. Because it's great to use the primary source, but then just some follow-up activities to further that research, because a lot of you still had questions for it, right? Like that was our last thing. What other questions do we have? What other questions can we look for? So just a few fun, just a couple little things that we can show as to things to do to further the research. So one, sharing my screen again. Okay, one is taking our virtual tour. Okay, the virtual tour, look, this is basically the image this is basically, the scene that we just looked at, right? Let's see, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. Okay, we're basically standing in the Edward Savage picture right now. We can see some of the outbuildings that were included. So if you had questions about what were those outbuildings, what work is going on in these spaces, we can actually step inside. You can use the virtual tour and really push that knowledge of what we just looked at from the painting and jump right in and experience and learn more about the spaces from the inside, who would have been working in it, who would have been utilizing the space, who would have been living in these spaces. So the virtual tour, do a little compare and contrast. You know, let's go back out front. I don't want to move too fast and make anybody motion sickness. But, compare and contrast. How does the outside today? What's different from the painting that we looked at? The second piece that we want to highlight, since some of you pulled out those outbuildings, if we go back to our online learning site, is our wonderful series on Ask Mount Vernon videos. These are videos where students submit their questions and our experts answer them. And one of the questions that's submitted for that site was, why is the kitchen outside? That was kind of brought up. Why are the outbuildings outside? What are those other buildings next to the home? And this is just a great follow-up resource that our expert staff can answer and push that knowledge forward for you. So these are great activities, and they're easy to find. It's all on everything that we're always going to be doing is going to come right back to this hub page, to this online learning hub page, www.mountvernon.org/online learning. Okay, so that is always a place. There's the link right here. Okay, so that's it. Everything that we're going to be doing on our Teaching Tuesdays is going to start and end at this hub that we created, and then expand and show you how you can use some of those great items. That's it for me at the moment. Thank you all so much. Your comments, your questions were fantastic. Thank you for doing this activity with me. It was great. This interactive piece is what we hope every Teaching Tuesday is going to be. You and I are going to become really good friends for the next few weeks. As we do different activities, tell your students, tell your teacher friends, bring everybody, because these are great activities that teachers can take in the classroom. Teachers, if you can see, can also take them digital, but then we can work with students to do it the same. Oh, Jennifer, thank you. Next week, just to get you so excited that you can't wait for Tuesdays, because Tuesdays are now the new Fridays and they're the best day of the week because you're looking forward to this. We're going to be looking at historic recipes, and we're going to be looking at what we can learn, not just about a cooking process from a historic recipe, but what information about Washington, the 18th century, what deeper level of information can we pull from recipes, since all of us or some people are kind of really upping that cooking, but understanding, kind of pulling from there. So that's going to be next Tuesday, same time, same place. Maybe I'll wear my same sweater, my teaching sweater. But in the meantime, we have incredible Facebook Lives coming again tomorrow. Dr. Doug Bradburn one of my favorites for our Washington Wednesday. I mean, you can't get better than a Washington Wednesday. And the focus is on his time in the war. Candace just asked if we're going to be doing the 12th night cake from Martha. I don't want to give any spoilers away. So maybe not. Leave a little teaser for you guys. But thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Come back tomorrow for Dr. Bradburn, but set those alarms for Teaching Tuesday next week. Okay? Thank you for being with me through the technical difficulties, and see you later.